Now this video is going to be documenting my time spent on Inferno MI. For those who don't follow me on TikTok, which you should, what happened was that this group, we're going to call them Mystics group because it's what I call them in the TikTok, they asked me to come do a base tour with them, and so I did. And as you can see, the base was well organized, but the boxes were literally everywhere. During the duration of the tour, they were telling me about these guys that they had been fighting with pretty religiously. They live like just north of them on the server. And though I don't show it here, they even took over the HQM quarry from these guys, and they put up their own base. So they had like a base right outside these guys' like massive base. So that's the interesting part about the server, is that I gave these guys a base tour, and then they invited me out onto a raid later on to raid the guys that they had taken the HQM quarry from. So to finish out this base tour, I'm going to be doing the rest of the loot check, and you guys can see just how loaded these guys were. For living like right outside launch, you think they would be like a primary raid target. So you can see in their base they're completely loaded, and they ended up getting a lot more rockets just a couple days after I did this base tour, so that way they can invite me out onto that online raid they did against the guys that I'll be later base touring. And they were already completely loaded, so it's not like they needed the loot, they just did it for the love of the game. Here you can see just how massive their base is, and you can kind of understand why they hadn't gotten raided yet. Someone did try. You can see a raid base right outside. Then they wanted to show me how active the server got, so we went and took Brad, which is where I finally got to see the guys that they had been talking about because they came and countered Brad. Now granted, Mystics group did lose that Brad, but I got to see all the PvP that was on the server. Now for the fun part, they invited me out for that online raid, and they had enough rockets. Now the part of this raid that is interesting, the guys that they are raiding now, I later base tour when they rebuild, are allegedly, I'll say allegedly, famous for hitting the server and knocking everybody off, which we did encounter 3 different times while trying to raid them. Now, after confronting this group about this, they deny it, but it did happen 3 times while we were raiding them, and I've never had problems on the server before. Each time after the server got hit, I ended up dead. We will chalk it up to a crazy coincidence. One thing that is undeniable is that during this raid, they didn't fight back that much. This is the only time I got shot, because they were moving loot out, all the best like tier 3 loot out, to another base, so that way these guys wouldn't get it. Mystics group did end up finding that base and raiding it, so these guys I believe had to start all over. So just doing a quick loot check from that, I know they had AKs because of that Brad fight, but we didn't get any rockets. All the boom you see that are in these boxes are what's like left over from the raid. So I mean, there was a giant hole in their base. They definitely moved loot. Now it's time to actually do a base tour with the guys after they had rebuilt. Yes, the ones that we raided here. And I thought there was going to be like some kind of anger towards me because I, kind of raided them. But these guys were actually very chill about it. We laughed, we joked about the whole, booting the server offline. And I mean, they gave me a base tour, so they couldn't be too mad about me joining in the raid. And I just want to go on the record here and say that I didn't play favorites with these 2 groups. I had no dog in the fight. I acted a lot like a news reporter in the middle of a war because I didn't tell Mystics group that I was doing a base tour with them. And then while I was doing this base tour, Mystics group reached out to me while I was doing this tour and was like, hey, we're gonna end up raiding these guys, do you want to come? And I was like, well, part 2, yeah, I'm down. So I could have given Mystics group like a good edge and tell them that, oh hey, all of their good kits are upstairs. If you focus on the roof, you probably will have better chances raiding them. And I could have told these guys, like given them a heads up and said that, Mystics group was on the way. But journalistic integrity, I did not do that. They ended up figuring it out because I stayed on the server, but that's not my fault. So now it's time for the meat and potatoes. We are here with Mystics group, about to go raid the group that I just base toured. And I mean, there might have been a 30-minute buffer in between the base tour, and now I'm actively raiding the base that I just toured. And even though I just toured their base, I'm not entirely sure how deep they were. I want to say 10, but these guys got 20 people on just to raid the group that was down here, which again, we had already raided. Now, these guys knew this was going to be a YouTube video, so we had to stop at an iceberg and get a photo shoot in, which I gotta admit was a pretty cool idea. It took longer than I expected it to. We wasted almost the entire day trying to get this photo right, but hey, look, there's the thumbnail. And we had 2 tugs to go to this raid, so trying to organize everybody and get everyone kitted was a challenge. The theme is yellow pants. So while we were over onto the site where we're gonna build the raid base, we got rockets distributed and everyone got yellow pants on. And like a kid going to Disneyland, I kept asking, are we there yet? Now we finally got to where we're gonna build the raid base at, but the only problem was that these guys knew that we were coming. Now I know that someone allegedly had told them that we were coming, but I don't think that it helped that I stayed on the server. I think they put 2 and 2 together. They also messaged me on TikTok and were like, hey, are you about to raid us? But I did not tell them that we were coming. So I tasked myself with just shooting fire rockets at the top of the base, because I'm really not trying to influence this raid too much. I'm just trying to get footage of this back and forth that they had going on. But yeah, these guys were ready for us. They had rockets on their roof, shooting it at the raid base while we were trying to get raid base down, so that was a struggle. I got a couple of hit markers, so I guess I was putting it in those bedrooms I had just been at like an hour beforehand. You guys won't believe it, but when you're raiding 20 deep, yeah, the server gets pretty dang laggy. This goes on for a while we're trying to like shoot at the roof to keep them from shooting the raid base. The raid base is slowly going up and also getting rocketed. Pretty much a stalemate, seeing if we can get the raid base up, and they're just trying to not let us get the raid base up at all. Now they do end up pushing on ground, and once I realized this was not one of the 20 guys that was on our team, I shot a rocket at him, got a hit marker. You're not killing me and ruining my shot. Now they started shooting real rockets here, so that way they could try to take out some of the shooting floor, open it up a little bit. That way they can try to get the raid base down. And I was continuing my mission to shoot as many fire rockets at their roof as I possibly could. These people turned on a torch, and then I got lit up. Here you can kind of see the amount of disarray that the raid base is in. We have made no progress on it. Because they started raiding the raid base, it just got worse. Now you can see through the raid base. The amount of chaos behind this 2x2 is pretty funny. But now that it's daylight, I'm going to try to get a closer look as to what is getting boomed. And that was a terrible idea. I got shot up immediately. So while we're shooting rockets at their base, you can see that they put an actual raid base right there, and our original raid base is holy. We were having problems trying to get like to the actual breach, so I put down some wooden walls to try to help that out. And then I wanted to check on the status of the raid base to see if we were trying to do anything with it. And yeah, now we're finally getting the walls down now that we got that breach going. And the wooden walls are already gone, and Tack gloves killed me here. I will get my revenge before the end of the video. Since I lost my kid, I'm pretty much just trying to focus on getting some shots in. I might pick up a gun or two and try shooting back a little bit. I'm not trying to do too much in this raid. I'm kind of a neutral party, but if you try to kill me and roll my shot, I will put you down. Imagine getting killed by the base tour kid. I'm sorry. Also like the best view of the breach I've gotten so far, because I keep getting mowed down before I get to it, but this is what it looks like. And I got the great idea to try to get a better shot of the breach. I was going to go up the China wall that I had just been at like an hour and a half beforehand, which, while I did get a good look at the breach, was a terrible idea because I'm out in the open. At least here, I get left alone long enough to where you can see the actual breach. They pretty much got main loot. Going through the same problems of like getting disconnected from the server. Turns out it was just me. I was lagging pretty bad, so I guess that one's on. Now I found a rocket. I thought it'd be fun to try to shoot the one rocket I found out, but that I got punished immediately. Here's a good shot in between the two raid bases and the breach, so you guys can kind of see everything that's going on. Now this is an active war zone, so I'm just trying to pick up a gun with some ammo in it. Because we aren't all on like one team, it was hard to keep track of who was just a naked running in and who was actually on the team, so I think they were losing kits and getting out with them. Now I ended up finding an AK with some ammo in it, so I dropped the one that didn't have ammo in it, and I went to push the guy that had just mowed everyone down. Now I know he heard me jump up, so I knew he was going to be looking for me, and I didn't think I'd be doing anything right here, but I ended up getting a clip on tack gloves. getting mowed down by the base tour kit is a hit to the ego, but that was just revenge for killing me earlier. Also, around this point, people started saying in the Discord that the raid was pretty much over, we were out of boom, and we were pretty much just fighting for no reason. So the guys that I had just toured, they ended up winning this raid. So I want to say thanks to both sides for letting me tour their base and join into the raids so that way I could document everything. If you guys like this kind of content, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Later. Bye.